Why is it that in a world overflowing with choices, with endless chances to begin again, we still cling to the very people who hurt us, drain us, or simply cannot meet us where we are? Why do our hearts hold on long after our minds whisper, "Let go"? Maybe the real question is even deeper. What part of us is loving them? And what wound inside us is being repeated through them? Today, we begin a journey into the hidden architecture of attachment, the unconscious patterns that pull us toward the wrong people again and again. And as Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Sometimes, the reasons we stay aren't logical, they're ancient. They come from places within us we've never visited, places formed long before adult love ever entered our lives. In Jung's view, the psyche is a landscape shaped by forgotten memories, unspoken family patterns, and archetypal forces moving through us like underground rivers. And when we meet someone who reflects an old emotional imprint, the pull feels magnetic, familiar, inevitable, even if it hurts. But this isn't a story about weakness. This is a story about longing. Longing for healing, for completion, for the moment when an old wound might finally close. The irony is that we often choose people who mirror the very wounds we haven't healed yet. They don't cause the pain, they awaken it. And so, before we talk about breaking patterns, we begin here, with honesty, with tenderness, with the understanding that holding on to the wrong person doesn't mean you're broken. It means your soul is asking you to look inward, to listen, to unearth the forgotten scripts you've been living out, quietly, unconsciously, for years. As we open this journey, let's peel back the first layer, gently, because the truth is not harsh. It's liberating. There's a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when you first sense that something is off. A tightening in the chest, a hesitation in the voice, a subtle feeling that you're giving more than you're receiving. And yet, instead of stepping back, you lean in. You try harder. You become softer, more patient, more forgiving, hoping that this time your love will be enough to transform what hurts. But what if this urge doesn't come from love at all? What if it comes from an older part of you, a part shaped long before you even knew what choosing meant? As Carl Jung believed, we don't meet people by accident. We meet them through the architecture of our inner world. The partner who feels like home often resembles the emotional environment we grew up in, not necessarily the one that nurtured us, but the one that shaped our earliest understanding of love. If affection once came mixed with inconsistency, you may mistake inconsistency for passion. If approval depended on effort, you may confuse exhaustion with devotion. In Jung's view, the psyche repeats what is unresolved, not because it wants you to suffer, but because it wants you to wake up. The truth is, many of us cling to the wrong person because somewhere inside, we're still trying to win a love we never truly received. Not from that partner, but from someone in our past. A parent, a caretaker, a first formative bond. We think we're fighting for the relationship in front of us, but really, we're trying to rewrite history. And this is why letting go feels impossible. Because you're not just releasing them, you're releasing a version of yourself that has carried this pattern for years. But here's where the light begins to break through. As Jung said, what you resist not only persists, but grows. When you finally stop resisting the truth and allow yourself to see the pattern clearly, the pattern loses its power. Awareness doesn't just illuminate, it liberates. So as we move deeper into this journey, stay open, stay soft, stay curious about the parts of you that loved before you knew how to protect yourself. Because the moment you understand why you've been holding on is the moment you begin to loosen the grip. There's a certain ache that comes from loving the wrong person, an ache that doesn't shout, but hums beneath the surface like a steady low note. You wake up with it. You carry it through your day. You explain it away as stress, timing, circumstance. And yet, somewhere deep inside, a quieter wisdom keeps whispering, this isn't love. This is longing dressed as hope. But hope can be intoxicating, especially when it's tied to the fantasy of who someone could be rather than who they truly are right now. As Carl Jung observed, we don't just fall in love with people, we fall in love with our own projections. We cast our unfulfilled potential, our hidden desires, our unhealed inner child onto someone standing in front of us, and then we call it destiny. In Jung's view, the person who pulls us the strongest is rarely just a partner. They are often a mirror reflecting the parts of ourselves we haven't integrated. Sometimes they reflect our tenderness, sometimes our hunger, and sometimes our shadow, the unmet needs we pretend not to have. This is why the wrong person can feel so strangely right. They awaken something ancient in us, something raw. They activate the deeper layers of the psyche where unfinished emotional stories wait to be resolved. You don't just want them. You want the closure, the redemption, the sense that this time the ending will be different. That this time, love will heal what was broken. But here's the heartbreak. The wrong people rarely change simply because we love them. And we rarely heal by reenacting the same story with a new face. As Jung said, we are not what happened to us. We are what we choose to become. Yet choosing becomes almost impossible when we're tangled in a bond that taps into our unconscious wounds. Still, there's something important to honor here. Your attachment wasn't foolish. It was meaningful. It held clues about what your soul is ready to understand, what your heart is brave enough to confront. Holding on wasn't a mistake, it was a message that you're finally ready to meet yourself with the honesty you've been avoiding. And as we move deeper, we'll explore what that message is and how it can guide you toward the love you've always deserved, beginning first with yourself. There's a moment, often subtle and almost tender, when you begin to sense that your attachment isn't actually about the person in front of you, but about the person you once were. A younger self, untouched by wisdom, yet full of longing, still reaching out from the past, hoping that this time, someone will choose them in the way they always needed. And this is where Carl Jung's insights become a lantern in the dark. Jung believed that every relationship is a psychological encounter long before it becomes a romantic one. You're not just interacting with another human being, you're interacting with your own inner history. Think about it. The way you react to distance, the way you fear abandonment, the way you overgive, or overstay, or overhope. These aren't random behaviors, they are echoes. They come from the emotional templates created in childhood, when your heart first learned what closeness felt like and what danger felt like, sometimes at the very same time. So when you cling to someone who cannot meet you, you may not be loving them. You may be loving the unfinished chapters inside you. Jung spoke often of the inner child, not as a sentimental idea, but as a living psychological reality. This child carries the first impressions of love, safety, and worth. And when these early impressions were inconsistent or confusing, you may find yourself drawn, again and again, to the very dynamics that once shaped your understanding of affection. Not because they bring joy, but because the psyche seeks familiarity over fulfillment. This is why you hold on even when logic tells you to let go. You're not irrational, you're loyal. Loyal to the part of you that still believes love must be earned. Loyal to the wound that hopes this person will finally repair what someone else broke. Loyal to the dream that this time, finally, your softness will be seen, valued, protected. But here's the quiet turning point. Your loyalty is sacred, but it's misplaced. It doesn't belong to the wrong person, it belongs to you. To the child inside who never received the reassurance they needed. To the adult who has spent years trying to rewrite the past through relationships that could never hold the weight of that longing. In Jung's view, healing begins when we stop searching for the missing piece outside ourselves and start recognizing it within. And this is where your power begins to awaken, not in letting go of the wrong person, but in finally holding on to the right one, the untended, unspoken, unseen part of you that has waited so long to be met with compassion. This is where transformation starts, not with someone else choosing you, but with you choosing yourself. There's a certain quiet exhaustion that settles in when you've spent too long loving someone who cannot meet you. It's not loud. It doesn't explode. It simply seeps into the cracks of your spirit, an ache that feels like carrying a weight that was never yours. You tell yourself you're strong enough to hold it. You tell yourself love requires patience, devotion, sacrifice. But somewhere beneath all these beliefs, another truth trembles. I am tired. And that tiredness is not a weakness. It is a signal. As Carl Jung often emphasized, the psyche speaks through subtle symptoms: fatigue, anxiety, restlessness, even the feeling of being stuck. These aren't failures of willpower. They are messages from the unconscious, alerting you that something inside is out of alignment. When you keep choosing the wrong person, your inner world tries to wake you gently at first. But if you ignore the whisper, it becomes a pull and eventually a breaking point. What's astonishing is how often we ignore this inner guidance because we're still chasing the idea of who someone could be, the imagined partner, the potential, the fantasy of future change. Yet Jung reminds us that projection is one of the most seductive forces in the human psyche. You don't just fall for a person, you fall for a symbol of safety, of redemption, of emotional completion. And when reality doesn't match the symbol, instead of releasing the illusion, many people cling even tighter. Not because they're blind, but because the alternative feels like stepping into the unknown. Letting go means facing the emptiness you've been trying to fill. It means acknowledging that the love you wanted from them may actually be the love you've denied yourself. But here is where the transformation deepens. Jung believed that every painful pattern contains a gift, a hidden piece of the self waiting to be claimed. Your exhaustion, your confusion, even your heartbreak, these are not signs that you're failing at love. They are signs that your soul is ready for a new way of being. The wrong person can break your heart, yes, but they also break your patterns. They reveal the wound. They expose the longing. And they open the doorway to your own inner truth. And once you see that truth, even for a moment, you can never unsee it. This is the beginning of your awakening. There comes a moment, a trembling, luminous moment, when the truth starts rising from within you, not like a shout, but like a dawn. It's the moment you realize that the person you've been holding onto so tightly is not actually the source of your pain, but the mirror of it. And this realization doesn't come with anger. It comes with clarity, a clarity that feels almost like a soft unfolding within the chest. Because suddenly, for the first time, you can see you haven't been fighting for their love. You've been fighting for your own sense of worth. Carl Jung taught that the human heart clings to symbols long before it clings to people. And the wrong person often carries a symbol of something you once lost: security, recognition, affection, belonging. They awaken an old emotional imprint tucked deep within your unconscious. This is why their absence feels heavier than their presence. This is why their inconsistency feels like a challenge you must master. It's not about them. It's about the unfinished story inside you. And here's the deeper truth. You never clung to them because they were right for you. You clung because some part of you believed this was your chance to finally heal a wound that has lived inside you for years, maybe decades. As Jung said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But the transformation is not always gentle. Sometimes the wrong person becomes the catalyst your soul needed to break a cycle that generations before you carried as well. Think of the moments you stayed, the apologies you whispered into your own heart, the way you tried to shrink your needs so you wouldn't lose them. These weren't acts of desperation. They were acts of survival learned long ago, perhaps from a childhood where love had conditions, or where emotional presence came in unpredictable waves. In Jung's view, these early dynamics shaped the shadow, the part of you that learned to hide your true desires to feel safe. So when the wrong person enters your life, it isn't random. They activate your shadow, your forgotten needs, your buried fears. They bring them to the surface so you can finally see them, name them, release them. Holding on to them, then, wasn't a failure. It was a lesson, a necessary encounter with the parts of you that have waited so long to be healed. And now, for the first time, you are beginning to see that the lesson isn't about fixing them. It's about freeing yourself. It's about recognizing the difference between a bond and a pattern, between genuine love and emotional repetition. It's about stepping out of the old story and gently, courageously beginning to write a new one. Your awakening has already begun. There comes a strange, sacred turning point, a moment when you begin to understand that the person you've been holding on to was never meant to be a destination, but a doorway. A doorway into the deepest chambers of your own psyche. And the moment this truth settles into you, even faintly, something shifts. The spell softens. The illusion cracks. You begin to see not just them, but yourself, your patterns, your needs, your wounds, your longing, with a clarity that feels both painful and liberating. Carl Jung believed that people enter our lives to reveal what lives inside us. He called these encounters soul confrontations, moments where the unconscious rises to the surface through another human being. The wrong person, in this sense, is not a mistake. They are a message. They awaken your dormant shadows, your forgotten beliefs about love, your silent fears about abandonment or unworthiness. And when the wrong person activates these places, it feels overwhelming. But it is also incredibly meaningful. Because this is where transformation begins, in the recognition of the pattern. Think about it. You didn't cling to them because you lacked strength. You clung because some part of you believed that if you could make this one person stay, then all the ghosts from your past, the neglect, the inconsistency, the emotional hunger, might finally be erased. But life isn't asking you to fix the past through someone else. It's asking you to meet the parts of yourself you once abandoned. And now, at this stage of your journey, you're starting to realize that the ache you've been carrying isn't about losing them. It's about losing the version of you that believed you needed them to feel whole. Jung wrote that healing requires a descent into one's own depths, into one's shadows, into the forgotten corridors of the psyche. And you, without even realizing it, have begun that descent. The confusion you feel is a sign of awakening. The doubt is a sign of clarity forming beneath the surface. The tiredness is your soul whispering, enough. And enough is not resignation. It's reclamation. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open. This is where your power begins to retake its shape, not by gripping tighter, but by allowing the truth to rise. Not by forcing love to work, but by realizing you deserve a love that doesn't require you to abandon yourself. What comes next is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of your liberation. There is a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, when the pain of holding on finally grows louder than the fear of letting go. It doesn't come as a dramatic collapse or a burst of anger. Instead, it arrives like a soft exhale, a whisper from the deepest part of your being saying, "You can stop now." And that whisper feels foreign at first, because for so long you believed that endurance was love, that effort was proof, that staying was strength. But here, in this tender unfolding, you begin to sense another kind of strength, the strength of release. Carl Jung taught that every person we become attached to carries a psychic charge, an emotional imprint that hooks into something unresolved within us. The wrong person often carries the charge of an old wound, something that once shaped you but no longer serves who you are becoming. And when that charge begins to dissolve, when their presence no longer fills the silence, when their absence no longer feels like a collapse, that is the sign that your inner world is healing. You might feel sadness, yes, a deep, aching sadness that washes through you like a tide. But don't mistake this sadness for regret. It is simply the soul grieving the illusion it held onto for so long. grieving the story you hoped would save you, grieving the years you spent trying to turn pain into proof of devotion. But beneath the grief, something new is awakening. A clarity, a steadiness, a sense of coming home to yourself after wandering in someone else's shadow. In Jung's view, the most profound transformations happen not when we change others, but when we reclaim the parts of ourselves we once disowned. And that is what's happening now. You are calling back your power from every place you handed it away. You are gathering the fragments of your worth that you scattered across someone who could never hold them safely. You are learning, slowly and bravely, that love cannot thrive where self-abandonment exists. And with this realization comes the beginning of emotional freedom. The wrong person is no longer the center of your story. The past is no longer a blueprint for your future. The wound is no longer a compass. For the first time, you can feel the ground beneath your own feet, steady, warm, unmistakably yours. And this, right here, is the early light of healing. A light that will guide you toward the version of yourself you have always been meant to become. There comes a point in every healing journey when the focus shifts. For so long, your attention was fixed on them, what they felt, what they didn't give, what they could someday become. But now something subtle and extraordinary is happening. Your gaze is turning inward, not in blame, but in recognition. You're beginning to see that the real story was never about the wrong person at all. It was about the part of you that believed you had to earn what should have been offered freely. Carl Jung wrote that suffering is never random. It is a call toward greater consciousness. And that's exactly what you're experiencing now. The pain that once felt like a punishment is revealing itself as a teacher. You're starting to understand the patterns you repeated not because you wanted to, but because they were familiar. You're beginning to see that the love you fought for outside yourself was a reflection of the love you had not yet learned to give within. And here's the remarkable thing. Once this awareness begins to grow, even slightly, you can feel the shift in your body. The tightness loosens, the anxiety quiets, the longing softens, because now you're not trying to force someone else to heal your past. You're allowing yourself to step out of it. This phase is delicate. You may feel moments of clarity followed by waves of doubt. You may feel pulled back toward the old bond, not out of love, but out of habit. Don't judge this. Jung believed the psyche moves in spirals, not straight lines. You revisit old feelings, not to stay stuck, but to understand them more deeply. Each return leaves you slightly freer than before. And as this freedom grows, something beautiful begins to bloom. You start reclaiming your emotional space. You begin to honor your needs without apology. You feel the early flicker of self-respect rising like a flame. You understand, perhaps for the first time, that real love, healthy love, doesn't demand that you shrink or chase or twist yourself into fragments. It meets you. It sees you. It expands you. But before you can receive that kind of love from another, you must build it within yourself. And right now, you are laying the first stones of that foundation. Quietly, courageously, with more wisdom than you realize. The wrong person may have triggered your wounds, but the healing that follows will reveal your strength. There comes a moment in your healing when the air around you feels different, lighter, clearer, almost as if the world is exhaling with you. You wake one morning and realize that the weight you carried for so long has shifted. Not disappeared entirely, but changed in texture. It no longer drags you backward. It simply reminds you of where you've been. And in this gentle turning, you begin to sense something extraordinary. You are becoming someone new. Carl Jung believed that every ending is really a reorientation of the soul, a movement toward wholeness that often begins with heartbreak. He wrote that the psyche doesn't evolve through comfort. It evolves through confrontation with truth. And now, after all the nights you spent questioning yourself, doubting yourself, bending yourself into smaller shapes just to be loved, you can finally see the truth with clarity. You weren't holding on because the wrong person was extraordinary. You were holding on because you were extraordinary, devoted, loyal, hopeful, and you believed that love meant staying no matter the cost. But now you're learning something far more powerful. Love is not proven through suffering. Love is proven through expansion. And anything that forces you to shrink, even in the name of connection, is not love. It is fear wearing the mask of devotion. This is the stage Jung called the return to the self. The moment when the energy you once poured outward begins to flow back into your own center. You feel it in small ways, setting boundaries without guilt, waking with a sense of possibility instead of dread, noticing your own needs with tenderness rather than shame. You're not just letting go of a person. You're letting go of the version of yourself who believed that your worth depended on their attention. And this shift is not loud. It's not dramatic. It's quiet, sacred, steady, like the earth reclaiming itself after a storm. The wrong person once held a power over you, but now you can see the power was never theirs. It was yours, projected outward, waiting to be returned. And now that you've begun to call it home, you can feel something rising beneath your ribs: confidence, intuition, clarity. A knowing that you deserve connection that doesn't wound you. A knowing that you deserve a love that does not require you to disappear. This is the beginning of your sovereignty. This is the moment your future starts to take shape, not in reaction to someone else, but in devotion to your own becoming. If this journey touched something deep within you, if you felt even a small shift in your heart, I invite you to stay close. Subscribe to the channel so we can keep walking this path together. A path of healing, awakening, and returning to your true self. Your presence here matters. Your growth matters. And every time you join, comment, or simply listen, you become part of a growing community of souls who are choosing consciousness over chaos, clarity over confusion, and self-love over old patterns. So stay with us. Let this space be your reminder that you are never alone in your transformation. Like the video, share it with someone who may need these words today, and allow yourself to keep expanding. Softly, bravely, beautifully. The journey continues. And I'm honored you're here.